Hey, how are we going, guys? Mick here, back with another beer review. Going to review one of my own, so you would have seen it. Check out the Brew Day video. It is quite long. Can be boring for some, I expect that. There's so many Brew Day videos going on at the moment, it's not funny. They've been going on for years. To be in all honesty, I've found them slightly boring. Unless there's something spectacular going on, something a little bit different, a little bit left field, a little bit funky going on, and the way that they do things, me being right into my hybrid beers, be it braggots, brewing meads and stuff like that. That sort of thing interests me. So we get into the barrel aged Solarias and that kind of stuff. That's the sort of stuff I'm starting to look at now. Real sort of left field, more in, not intensity, but more labour involved in producing those particular beers. So that's the sort of the road I'm heading down when I want to get into those, milk the funk style things where we're using bugs and bugs, but different cultures and stuff like that, souring, all those sorts of things, and wine barrels and things like that. So sort of the road we're heading down with. But I thought, just to keep sort of stepping up and moving forward with different things that are going on, I went with 5 kilos of pale malt, 1 kilo of flaked oats, and 1 kilo of rye malt into this beer, and obviously using 4 different new hops to me. They're quite new to a lot of other people as well. There's quite a few people who haven't heard of the hops that I've been using. Those videos are also available to watch here on my channel. So we use Michigan Copper, Württemberg, Mackinac, and Paradigm. Those 4 hops are actually gone into this particular beer. So the 5 kilos of ale malt, 1 kilo of rye, and 1 kilo of flaked oats. And as you can see, it's an absolute juice bomb. So there's a lot of other things sort of, I find it slightly unbalanced. I did have a tester yesterday after it had gone into keg. Carbonation is still a little bit to be played with there, but I was going to wait maybe a week or two before I actually done this video, but it's tasting a whole lot better today than what it did yesterday, so it's only going to improve. But the general idea, you get a general idea is when I start to talk about this particular beer, what's going on. So you see the colour's quite good. Also used harvested number 10 Framgarden flake yeast, and we use around about 6 grams, so it's probably an over pitch, but I stressed it as far as I possibly could, so we can go between 25 to 35. Some people will push it out to 38 with that particular yeast. That yeast has survived and continued to remain active even in the fridge. So where it's sort of been it's been harvested and added onto, the temperature is probably what's made that sort of thing going on inside the fridge, where it's continued to be active even at a low temperature, over the course of 2 days, it one of those flasks that I had using a balloon on top of it, which is what I do when I do my starters and rehydration. Just whack a balloon on top of it and sort of let it go and sit on a heat mat or something like that. Insulated, so a bit of foam on top of the heat mat. It just sort of gets that slow bit of warmth coming up. Works quite well. It performs, still performs at low temperatures and performs at quite high temperatures as well. So I think I had a malfunction in one of the experimental beers using one of these 4 hops split over 2 full batches over down into four mini batches, 4 half batches to use each hop in it. Same recipe across the four small batches. So and one did malfunction and blew out to something like am having dramas like a few other people I've seen with the Inkbird controllers. Blew out to around about 43 degrees and went ballistic. So it loved temperatures over 40 even. So it is one of those sorts of yeast. It's an absolute monster. It performs well at 25, which is pretty much on the low end of the spectrum, and performs quite well above 40. So, and most certainly will keep chugging away even when it's been thrown in the fridge. So it's a bit of a monster yeast. So yeah, it's good to have. What we got now is 40 odd bags of 3 grams. 3 gram bags. There's about 40 of those in the fridge at the moment, so I've done quite well to harvest that much. That's been a pretty slow process. It's what it is. It's over so many batches, over even one batch, and it's been multiple harvests, top cropping over a couple of days. So I took that initial after 48 hours. There's a little bit of action going on there. A bit of clay sitting on top. Got to day 3, heading into the 72-hour mark. It's a 60-hour ferment for the majority of these top cropping yeasts, and even at 72 hours it actually peaked because I'm trying to keep it between 25 and 30. The optimum being, I think we ran at about 28. 28 was pretty consistent over that time. 72 hours, and it was it had died down, but it created a raft that was so thick and so obvious that live yeast was there on top. So it took minimal scoops at that 72-hour mark to create or to remove a majority of that yeast that I've been harvesting, and to, in all honesty, from around about 2 to 3 grams, we've harvested well over 100 grams of that Fram Garden over a period of several brews. So yeah, really good. All right, let's talk about the 7 minutes of talking absolute rubbish. Well, to me it matters, and to some it will matter as well. Those who follow me closely, much appreciated. It is what it does look juicy. We're talking breakfast juice colour and appearance here. Like I said, carbonation's still a little bit to be desired. I'm picking up everything there that I expect to get from that, minus the mint and the sort of wet grass that one of those hops had very distinct flavours of. The spice, I'm not picking up the spice from the hops. I'm picking up the spice from one. Well, it's only 1 kilo of rye, but that's made a huge difference, and I can pick that up. I know that distinct flavour of the rye that I'm getting. It's not so much in the aroma, but definitely in the flavour that I expect from a rye heavy beer is definitely here and there. So it's balanced out really well. So I'm getting that real sort of bready malt from the pale malt that's been used, being the predominant malt addition to this. that rye spiciness and the really creamy sort of 1 kilo of flaked oats has made a huge difference to this. So it's almost like it's brothy, the spice that comes through with the creaminess, and then that sort of grain, that chew that you get from a heavy ale malt bill. And then the hops. The hops are there from the aroma, orange, a slight spice. We're getting mangoes, pineapples. I contribute a lot of that pineapple coming from the yeast as well. Bearing in mind we have pitched 6 grams, and this beer was a host beer basically, so that I could harvest as much possible of that yeast as over the course of 72 hours. And the final day I still probably took around about 30 grams wet of that yeast. Weighing it as I went, I was quite surprised how much it retained its weight once it was dried in the dehydrator. So yeah, quite crazy. The pineapple, the mangoes, all that coming through. Mostly the hops, but I'm also getting some of those traits, those descriptors definitely coming from the yeast. So, cheers. Tasting so much better today, and it's very juicy. It does have that coating. Now the mouthfeel is probably going to come through a little bit more as the beer matures in the keg, and I feel it once it starts to lift, and we start to see it sort of thin out. Well, not thin out, but more sort of some of these proteins that are contained within the keg, they start to drop out a little bit. We get rid of those as it goes through its coat. So it's forced carb. It's been sitting now for 12, 18, so around about 25, 26 hours at 30 psi, and I've just dialed it back down to 10 now. So we're just above serving pressure. We're allowing that to we're burping it off. We're doing whatever we can to sort of get rid of that. Keg's been given a bit of a shake here. I would normally force carb in a day, so get it down to around about 2 to 3 degrees, and do the rocking carb method. Done that with a lot of them. They've worked out fine, but the thing I'm worried about this particular beer, because it is so hop heavy for what it is. When we're talking 400 grams in total, 200 grams went in a hop stand, 50 of each at a hop stand at 80 degrees for 10 or 15 minutes, and then another 200 went in at day 3, and then we pulled it around about day 6, I think it was, from memory. Could have even went 4 days on those hops, just to try and get the most out of what I've got there. So we've now spent pretty much all the hops that we've had sent over from Michigan, and definitely we've definitely made the most of what we got there. Considering it didn't cost me anything to get the hops over here, they're sent over as a sample. Good gesture from a good friend over there in the States. And I've got some pretty close friends over there. The only thing it doesn't get through here, and I find that a little bit frustrating, is when they send beers. It bugs me. They might come here sooner or later. I might go there. Who knows what will happen? But it bugs me that we can't get them in. They send commercial stuff. Never makes it. I've tried to send home brews over there and label it as yeast. Doesn't work either. So they're very much onto it. So yeah, look. the story, the life that evolves around this particular beer. In honesty, I don't think it deserves or responds or performs well with the rye that has gone into it. And it's still a pretty low amount of rye going into that sort of thing, but it was the mashing temperatures and other stuff that had gone on through the brew day that I think has contributed to that spike. And it's not bad. It might be different in a week or two. It might be different in 3 to 4 weeks, but it is definitely a beer. Probably needs to be that fine point, that middle, that sweet spot needs to be found and needs to be consumed within that time. So, I hope the offsiders are ready. It is a banger. I think that rye just needs to really sort of back off a bit, and the other sort of stuff. Get me wrong, you smell it, the aroma just wants you to take it in and wants you just to, you know, enjoy it. Saying that, as it warms, coconut comes through, melon, pawpaw, all that sort of stuff comes through. So it's a chameleon beer. The chameleon hops. No one knows what's going to happen when you brew beers like this. They're going to change as the keg gets a bit of age about it. They change as the temperature changes. I mean, we're looking at 1.7 degrees in the Keezer at the moment. Pouring temperature is about double that. So what's coming through the lines once it sort of hits the tap and hits the glass is probably at a premium. Some people are pouring around about 6 degrees. Whereas I'm about 3.4 degrees when they sort of hit the glass, and then it changes. We're getting about 4.8 degrees once it does hit the glass and sort of settles. And I think by the time you sort of get past your first beer into your second, those sort of temperatures work well. So we're looking around about 5.6 to 6 degrees in the glass, premium. Just look at that colour. True to form, what I've got in the glass is what you're seeing on camera is, as Grinspoon would say, just ace.